Because I think when they're young, they fit into your life. So they come to a coffee shop with you and you're meeting a friend, or they fit in and around your world. Yeah. But then when they get older and they get their own lives, you're fitting into their world. Yeah. And so your world diminishes a little bit. Hey, I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck.
And we are the Gold Diggers. Because we believe there's gold found in everyone.
Everyone is unique, interesting and exciting with a great story to share.
And we aim to find it.
The question is, can we rise to the challenge and strike gold?
Honey, you're my sugar.
So we have a special episode for you today. The fact that Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday.
One of my favourite days of the year.
I would say it's one of my favourite too, because it's nothing greater privilege than being a mum, is there?
That's right. It's very special to be a mum and to have mums who have spoken into our lives along the years as well.
And to get the opportunity to celebrate the mums in our lives, yeah.
That's right.
And the grandmas in our lives. So we're going to talk all about being a mother. Because this is a Caviar and Cactus, so for these episodes we talk about the good and the bad. So you're going to hear some experiences that we've had, that maybe a few mum fails in there. So stick with us.
Caviar or Cactus? All right, Ange, and Beck, get on with it then.
But before we do that, I want to catch up with you, Beck, because we have not caught up for a while.
It's been a while. I think it's been a few weeks now
before
Easter.
And I'm craving Beck. So I know that you recently had a funeral, didn't you?
Yeah. So if you remember, before Christmas, we had Grandma Moore into our show.
Yeah.
And she's beautiful, 99 years old, full of wisdom. I love that episode.
She was one of my favourite episodes, one of my favourite guests. How often do you get a 99-year-old?
I know.
Yeah.
She was great. Anyway, so that day that she spent with us was a great day, and it was probably one of her last best days, I would say. She started deteriorating after that, and she passed away on Easter Sunday just recently, and it was just... It was really sad, but it was kind of beautiful how it happened, because Grandma had such a great, deep faith in God. And then for her to pass on Easter Sunday, and it was quite peaceful, I think that would be a day she would have wanted to pass.
I think so knowing what I know about your grandma, that was probably the best way for her. Wasn't it on Easter Sunday? Because her faith was such an important part of her life.
That's right. And you remember how much she loved Grandpa and she missed him, and she referred to him as the great love of her life.
Yeah.
Well, it was to be their 80th wedding anniversary the very next day.
Wow.
So she made it to heaven on Resurrection Sunday, and then she would have been reunited with Grandpa on their 80th wedding anniversary. So it was really beautiful. It was very sad, but it was such a beautiful passing.
Well, because it's a celebration of an incredible life.
To
have got. I mean, she didn't get her letter from the king.
No, she didn't want that.
She didn't want it. I just remember in that podcast, I asked her, are you looking forward to your letter from the king? And she kind of went, no.
Not particularly, she says. I love it.
But what a privilege it is for us that being on this podcast was, probably one of her last days of her being well and healthy. I mean, she just looked so healthy on that day.
It was such a gift. It really was.
And to actually then be able to tell your story and have that recorded, and that's now a gift for her family and for all of you.
And the family has said how appreciative they are that we have that now. It's so special. So it's a gift to the whole family, which I'm so grateful for that we got that.
Well, I feel like crying, because that actually is the whole purpose for us to do this podcast. It is a gift to every guest that they get their story and their life journey. It's just a shame we couldn't fit all of it. 99 years is a long time, isn't it?
It really is. And that's the other beautiful thing about it. Like, she always said that she never wanted to live to 100. So she was
Wow.
almost 99 and a half. I think she was 99 and 5 months or something when she passed. So she got that wish. She didn't make it to 100, which she was happy about. And
Yeah.
she passed on the most special day to her in time for her 80th wedding anniversary.
And the
So-
funeral was a celebration of her life, I'm assuming.
It was, and I can't imagine it being any more beautiful for her. Like, I'm sure Grandma would have loved it. The whole room was full. It was packed. And then we had a live feed on Facebook as well for other people to watch. Grandma just impacted so many people. Like, in so many places, there were messages coming from everywhere saying how that Grandma and Grandpa would have meals with them, would invest into people's lives, would treat everyone like a son or a daughter or a grandchild. And she even said to you, I'm a grandmother to many people.
She did.
And that was Grandma. She was a grandmother to many people. A very, very special lady.
So that was a very special podcast. Now it was
Yeah.
number 81, I think.
Yes. I think it was episode 81, Secrets to Living a Long Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go and check out that podcast because actually that's such a special one. And knowing really how that was almost her final days to share that.
So it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster since I saw you last.
I
Ange.
know.
But you've had an amazing time.
Well, I've been away. I've been over to Nashville. So
Yes.
this was kind of a recce trip for our son Dara, who is looking at what's his next steps in his career in music. And so it was really enlightening, actually, just to see the whole Nashville world and how it works over there. And there's a thing called Southern hospitality in America, and you really notice it in Nashville.
Did you have a whole lot of fried chicken? 'Cause-
Well, yeah, they have fried chicken for breakfast. Like the breakfast menus were the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Like they've got these thing called grits.
Yeah.
No idea what they have, but no one speaks highly of them. But I don't know why they have. Yeah, so I found breakfast particularly challenging. And because I'm gluten-free, I can't actually eat fried chicken.
No. So what did you have?
But they have fried chicken with maple syrup. Can you imagine?
Is grits like mashed potato in a little fry?
Well,
thing,
that's
or-
kind of hash browns.
Yeah. Do they call hash browns grits?
I think grits is like maize.
Is it?
Type of thing. Yeah, I don't. I mean, they did explain it to me, but it didn't really sink in. All I got was, oh, no way. I'm not
really?
trying that.
Not
And
even with maple syrup?
No. And any Aussie that I know over there were like, oh, no, don't try grits. They're not good.
Really?
But
Well, there's a
Southerner-
warning to you, or don't try grits.
But all the Southerners, they love it.
Yeah,
So,
right.
you know, obviously it's a favourite
Wow.
for the South in America.
Yeah.
So they have this great hospitality, though. And kind of how it works is you meet one person and then they'll just connect you and introduce you to all these other people. And so Dara got an opportunity to be in a studio for half a day,
Wow.
just through a contact of ours, and they put him in touch with the studio. So he went and did half a day in a studio. Just such great experience. I mean, it was only a short time, but he got a really good insight into what studio life is like. Then we also met with a singer-songwriter, and she, over breakfast, she was just kind of explaining all the different roles in the songwriting process, that, you know, it's not just one person, that there's a whole team of people that bring that to market and how it works, which was really insightful for Dara to think, oh, you know, maybe that's kind of the stream that I would fit in, so that he can be a little bit more focused in what his next steps are.
Yeah.
And that. So,
Yeah.
it was a really great,
That would have
worthwhile
been
trip.
So beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And
But
to be actually in the hub of all that, that's a great experience, isn't it?
yeah, well, they've got this one strip in Nashville called Broadway,
Yeah.
and basically it's like all these honky tonks, which are like little pubs that have got live bands in them.
Yeah.
I mean, there are hundreds of them. And there's even one that's got like 5 levels, and there's a band on every level.
Oh my goodness.
And the musicians there are obviously they're the best in the world.
Wow.
So to ever make it, like you can't just be a really amazing musician.
Yeah.
Like if you're a lead singer, you can't be just a really amazing musician. You've got to have amazing voice, because the sounds coming out into that street were like, you just didn't know
You
where to
feel
look.
like leaning out the window and say, hey, can you turn it down? We're trying to play up here.
Well, they're all competing against each other. But so it's just like a really interesting world. I think out of all the cities in America, Nashville's probably my favourite.
Yeah.
It's one that feels safer, and
Is that the first time you've been to Nashville?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It's your
so-
favourite.
Oh, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I felt safe walking around the streets. Didn't feel that I didn't feel particularly in
musicians are a
danger.
good bunch of people, so
Well,
generally.
yeah, they generally are. And what I love about there is they don't seem to hold their cards close to their chest. They'll
Yeah.
share what they have,
Yeah.
and they'll share their knowledge and their contacts and all that sort of stuff.
That's
So
great.
basically, the general consensus is if you just move to Nashville, you'll get connected and doors of opportunity will open, but you just got to be there.
Yeah,
basically.
that's right. The place to be.
It is.
Nice.
So
that
maybe
sounds
sometime in the future for Dara, that's where he'll head. But for now, I
Yes.
think he's just got a few things he's got to do here first.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, he's been inspired by the sounds of it.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty good.
What better way to inspire him?
Yeah, yeah.
So good.
So, I mean, obviously we're talking our kids now because,
Yes.
Our kids' future. I guess as mums, we're always looking at trying to raise our kids ready for the next stage in life.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that's what we were doing in Nashville. It's just setting him up for the next stage in life. And,
Yeah.
it's his decision to what he wants to do. But
Yeah.
isn't that true for us as parents, even when they're little kids? Like,
That's right. Yes, we're always preparing them for the next stages, even from baby, preparing them for crawling, preparing them for walking. And recently we've had to, well, it was only a few days after Grandma passed, we had to say goodbye to my son Jesse and his wife Bree and baby Max.
yeah, they moved away.
They did. So literally
How was that
that
for you?
Friday, that was really tough.
Yeah.
So they're now 7 hours away driving, and we did the trip with them, and
Yeah.
then had to say goodbye, and then do the trip home, which was I think
She's
I
getting
cried
teary
most
here,
of the
people.
way. It was really tough, and sometimes as a mum you have to do really tough things. Often we have to do really tough things.
And celebrate it.
Because I know. And they moved for a job opportunity that they couldn't pass up, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it tugs at your heartstrings, and
Yeah.
you miss them every day. And
your only grandchild.
my only grandchild.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Okay, moving on.
But I love them so much that it's just
Yeah.
you feel like your heart is stretched between the two places as far as that physical distance is.
Yeah.
That's the stretch you feel in your heart. So it is tough.
Yeah.
But I wish them all the best. And
Yeah.
I hope it's very successful.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing with our kids. Like, for me, looking at Dara going to Nashville, part of me is like, oh, well, I'm glad he's decided to stay here but for a few years at least. But
Yeah.
part of me is like, I'd never want to hold him back, but
No.
it would hurt
It hurts, yeah.
if he moved.
Yeah.
I would celebrate it,
Yeah.
but
Because it's this mixture of wanting the best for your kids. And so you do send them off wanting the best for them. But at the same time, you have to take that, the brunt of what that means for you. And that's all about being an unselfish mum, isn't it?
That's so true.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to be selfish. It's easiest for us to want to try and hold on, but the
Yeah.
best thing we can do is to let them go. And
Our
that's a
role.
difficult part.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I thought we could discuss today for Mother's
Yes.
Day is actually what is the difference between raising children and raising young adults, like being a
Yeah.
mum to young adults over being a mum to young kids.
Yeah.
Because there's good and bad. There's trials and challenges in both, isn't there?
There is.
I don't even know if I can think back that far now.
It's been a while.
But I often say that, when you're a mum to young kids, you often think, oh, this is such a difficult season because, they're so demanding, their needs are so demanding. I'm 24/7, my eyes are on them, I'm watching them, they're everywhere, I'm running and chasing after them.
Yeah.
But it's only when you then have older kids that you realise they were probably the best days. Or
And
I
it's
think they
true
were.
what they say, the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
That's so true, my goodness.
Because I think when they're young, they fit into your life. So
Yes.
they come to a coffee shop with you and you're meeting a friend, or they fit in and around your world.
Yeah.
But then when they get older and they get their own lives, you're fitting into their world.
Yeah.
And so your world diminishes a little bit.
And you're contacting them saying, how was your day?
Well, yeah, and you're taking them to sports practice or
Yes.
dance class, or, so your life then suddenly has to fit around their life.
Yeah. And that really happens so fast, don't you think? Like, it
Yeah.
almost happens suddenly. Like, I know for me, the last day of my youngest child's day of school, last day of school for her,
Yeah.
was also the first day of me becoming a grandmother.
Yes.
And not having any children at school. And it was sudden. It's like all of a sudden, I'm no longer a mother of school children.
You're
I'm
now
a
a grandma.
grandmother. 6
How
hours,
did you
same
cope
day.
with that?
Even now, like the other day, I was talking to Summer about it and Tony, and I was just saying, I can't believe that season switched in a day. Like it wasn't like now get used to not having any children at school. It was like, okay, that's done, and now you're a grandma. Like within 6 hours on that Friday, that all
That's
happened.
intense.
But it's kind of like, it happens quickly, but it takes a while for your mind to catch up with that, because I still feel like I'm a mother of school children, even though they're not at school.
Yeah.
But I'm still in that kind of,
Well, it was
I
only
still
last
feel-
year, wasn't
It was
it?
only
Summer
and 2 years
graduated.
ago, I had 2 kids at school. Like,
Yeah.
but now I have none, and I have a grandbaby. So it
Yeah.
happens very
But
quickly.
I think even if it happens gradually, so, we've only got one kid, so it's happened gradually for us.
Yeah.
But I still look back now and I think, wow, that went so fast.
Yeah.
And I think, probably if I have one regret,
Yeah.
I wish that I'd taken the time to really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And document it and remember it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes life is happening so fast. And, you're raising your kids and it's crazy for a period of time.
You're running to keep up with it, aren't you?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
you don't actually take time to just sit and look at them and appreciate the stage that they're at in life. We're always thinking, I can't wait till they can walk, or I can't wait till they can, make their own lunches or whatever. We're always wanting and hoping for the next thing when they're developing a little bit, but then all of a sudden they're gone.
Well, it's funny because we went to Grandma's funeral on the weekend, and we drove past the house that we used to live in when my kids were middle childhood. And so Summer would have been about 2, and then the oldest about 9 by the time we left. And the memories that came up for us all were just really lovely to hear again. And I said to the kids, remember that water tower we used to sit on the bed and look through the window up at the water tower that would be all dressed up at Christmas time with Christmas decorations on it. And just little moments like that, just sitting on a bed looking at Christmas things or reading a book together, or, that's where the kids jumped on Dad's car in that carport and put dints in the bonnet. Wasn't that a great day?
Yeah.
Not really, that was awful. But
Well, it's now. Now it is. Now you
That's
look back and
right.
laugh.
And now it's funny because that same day, I'll quickly tell you this story. So Ben and Summer, when they were like 2 and 3 years old, decided it was going to be fun to jump on Tony's sports Porsche car
Nice.
on the bonnet, and they were jumping up and down. And I was just about to take the older kids to school, and then Tony's like, the kids are jumping on the car. So I grabbed them, put them in the car, let Tony have some time to calm down. Now, Ben had just got his brand new reading glasses. Not that he was reading, but he needed glasses at the age of 3 or something. So I got him in the car, took the older 2 to school. On the way home that very same morning, Summer leans over, grabs the glasses and breaks them in half, $350 worth. And so I'm like, I think
That was a successful day, wasn't it?
I went straight to Tony's mum's. I said, Tony will just need a little bit longer before I tell him this news.
Oh, wow. It was all in the same day?
Yeah, that was
You've got
the
to think
same
about
morning.
putting everything in the same day, haven't you?
No, it's like, if it's going to happen, let's just get it over and done with.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that was a great morning of motherhood.
Well, talking about memories, okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about Mother's Day.
Yes.
Well, Mother's Day gifts.
Yeah.
What is your best and worst Mother's Day gift?
I don't specifically remember gifts.
Or Mother's Day, then.
Mother's
Let's go.
Day. Okay, hang on, just gonna. Mother's Day. Okay, so I love just a great Mother's Day for me is everyone's happy. I don't have to do any work or cooking. Everything's organised for me. I get to be a queen for the day and do nothing. But in saying that, I want to have meals with the family. I want to, even if it's a picnic, I just want to be around everyone but not have to do any preparation for it.
Yeah.
That's a great Mother's Day. And I remember this one specific year, and it was a few years ago now. The kids were younger. And the day before, I said to everyone, I have one request for Mother's Day this year, and that is that there is no arguing. No arguing on Mother's Day. And they're like, yeah, we can do that. And it's like, that seems like a simple request, don't you think? Anyway, the Saturday before Mother's Day was so beautiful. It was so peaceful. I had time to sleep in, go out to the garden, read a book. It was like, this is almost too good to be true, this Mother's like this.
So I'm assuming this was a time all 4 kids were at home. They were young.
Yeah, probably early teens, the older two. And anyway, so the Saturday before Mother's Day was a perfect day. And I'm thinking, I was a little suspicious. I'm like, this is such a lovely day. It's almost too easy. And then Mother's Day came the next day, and I told them all, no arguing on Mother's Day. That's all I want. And anyway, something happened pretty quickly. So one thing I wanted was a lovely Mother's Day photo of everyone together. And something happened early. One of the kids annoyed the other one. Boom. Straight into, why did you do that? Rah, 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 rah. The arguments began, and they went on. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let them sort that out with Dad. And I went and did some laundry. And then I opened the washing machine, put the laundry in, shut it. And then all of a sudden I've got these alarms coming up on my washing machine. I'm like, now my washing machine's broken on Mother's Day, and I already had mountains of washing there.
What are you doing washing on Mother's Day, though?
That was actually a bit therapeutic compared to what was going on in the other room. It's like, that was my little escape moment.
Even the washing machine was objecting to you working.
That's right. And I was just like, this is not what I asked for Mother's Day. And anyway, it turns out we didn't get the Mother's Day photo. We got lots of arguing that day. The washing machine blew up, and it was not the Mother's Day that I had wanted. But the great thing is, it's actually very real. It's like motherhood is not perfect.
No.
And families are not perfect. And there is arguments, but I think the beautiful thing about being in a family is that even though families are not perfect, the gift of it is that we have unconditional love for each other. Yeah. So regardless if someone is there, if they're arguing on the day, I said not to argue. We love anyway. We love each other, warts and all. And that was kind of the thing that came. The message that resounded to me that day was, we may not have got the perfect Instagram photo for that Mother's Day. We didn't get any photo that day. It was a mess of a Mother's Day. But the beautiful thing that just shouted to me was, this is real life, but you love each other regardless.
Yeah, and now as you look back, you're laughing about that day.
That's right.
And it actually brings you fun memories as opposed to however prickly it might have felt at the time.
And I'm so grateful for the day before that was peaceful.
Yeah,
I think
that was your actual Mother's Day.
That was my Mother's Day. I just didn't know it at the time.
Well, I can give you a Mother's Day present that at the time I was kind of like, what the?
This sounds interesting.
Okay, my family. So Noel and Dara consider themselves comedians, right? But they're kind of abstract comedians. So they'll do things that are completely random and leave you questioning, where was your head at? So, for instance, one Christmas, and I may have told this story before in a previous podcast, but one Christmas, they seemed really excited about me opening this one present, right? And I was like, what is going on? So I opened this present, and it was a plastic squid.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just a plastic squid.
Everybody needs a plastic squid.
Just completely random. Yeah. They found it hilarious.
Mum's going to love this.
Mum's like, okay, is there some cerebral meaning to this? Like, what is it? It ended up in the dog's mouth, basically. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that they're just trying to get a laugh. But, so I often get presents of this nature.
Yeah.
Probably because they find it difficult to know what do you get, Mom.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It.
So,
Yeah. Well, that would have been very practical. No, it wouldn't. Would have been practical for the dogs.
yeah, well, it entertained the dogs. And it gave us all a laugh.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've remembered it.
Well, that's right. It does stand out in the memory.
And now it's a story that I can repeat.
Yeah.
So, same happened for one Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That because Mother's Day for us, it's coming into winter time. So Dara thought he'd get me a onesie. And I thought, that's really nice. He'd get me a nice onesie because, you know, when onesies were in, they are actually kind of practical on a cold winter's night.
They're comfy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And they keep you warm.
Yes.
And, you know, when you have to go to the toilet, it's like an obstacle course.
Freezing, yeah. And then when you roll over in bed, it all gets twisted.
Yeah.
But they look cute.
But they look cute and they're warm.
Yeah.
But except mine had Spider-Man all over it.
Oh, excellent.
And so I actually really loved that Spider-Man onesie.
Yeah.
I wore it a number of times.
Well, the thing is, every time you'd wear it, you'd think of Dara. So it worked. didn't
Yeah,
it?
so it's kind of like
Yeah.
he was thinking of me getting a onesie, but he was thinking of himself, that he just loved Spider-Man.
And when he looked at you, he would go, Mum is so cool. She's wearing Spider-Man.
Yeah. So they're the kind of presents that I would usually get for Mother's Day. But my worst Mother's Day
Yes.
is probably going to be this one.
Oh.
I know. Hold on, I need to get the violin out. Because I'm going to be on my own.
Oh,
So Dara's
that's so
touring. He's on a tour
sad, yeah.
for music this Mother's Day. And Noel's away.
You
So
should totally follow Dara. Just follow him around.
I've been doing that all his life. I think he's sick of me now.
Say, Dara, it's Mother's Day. I'm coming on your tour.
I've literally I pride myself on being nearly to every one of his performances.
Yeah, you
I think there's a time that's going to have to stop because he's not going to want his mum hanging around forever.
Aw.
Is he?
Well, it's funny.
Like, when is old
He
too old?
might. He'll be so happy because you're so proud of him. So
I know, but then like when is it okay and when is it clingy?
yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I've been driving with Summer to university in Brisbane so that she can get her learner's hours up. And I said to her the other day, if you don't want to walk into uni with your mum, that's fine. I said, you just go ahead and I'll find somewhere to sit. And she's like, Mum, don't be silly. She said, I don't care what other people think. She said, I want you to walk in with me. You're driving me down anyway. So I'm like, no, just say that you're sure. I don't mind. It's okay. Anyway, she was adamant that she wanted me to. And then we went there on Monday. And when we got to the top and we walked into the university, she leans over, puts her arm into my arm and pulls me close so that I knew that she was proud of me being there with her. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. But I know, I won't always do that. Once she's got her hours, she'll be there by herself. But she just didn't care if anyone.
That's so
thought that
lovely,
was
isn't it?
good. Yeah.
Dara's been the same. He's
Yeah.
he's never really cared about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't think Mum's cramping his style. Well, at least he's not telling me he is.
Yeah.
That I am.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a bit different these days. I know like years ago it was kind of like walk 10 steps behind your parents, but I don't know if it's so much now.
But there's that difference, isn't it? Like, as we were saying earlier, raising young kids to having young adults. Actually,
Yeah.
we as parents probably make the biggest change. And so what are some of those changes do you think that we have to make in that transition?
I mean, if we go right back, I think first day of school is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've had your little one with you that whole time and you've had 24-hour care of them. And do you remember leaving for the first day and just waving and just feeling like your heart was gutted out of you?
I had a funny experience though when Darren first went off to school. Probably within the first week or two, I got a phone call from the school midway to say, Dara's hit another kid. It's not appropriate behaviour. And I'm like, well, this doesn't sound like my son because he's so calm and placid. Like, he's not a violent kid at all.
Yeah.
Maybe because he doesn't have siblings. He's had nobody to, so, I didn't know. So I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't sound like him. And then I said, can I come and observe the class for half a day? So they said, yeah. So I went in the following week and just observed, okay, what is Dara's behaviour? I just sat in the background. And I noticed every time a kid kind of came within his space, he would kind of hit them on the head or do something. But what he'd done for them to call me is, you know those plastic tables, the little kids' tables?
Yeah.
He'd taken off one of the table legs and he'd hit a kid over the head with it.
He was destined to become a drummer. He's practicing.
Now, if he'd have had two. Very good. And so I was observing him, that any time a kid came into his space, he would push them away. Right. And I think he just didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
So then I went up and I took him to the teacher and I said, she's safe, this safe. And I just reassured him that his environment was safe. And from then on, we didn't have any problems.
Wow, that was amazing.
But yeah, but it's that.
He needed your permission.
He needed my permission that everything was okay. But to be honest, I did too.
Yeah.
I needed the reassurance that he was safe. It wasn't just about him feeling it.
Yeah.
Because it is nerving for us, isn't it?
It's actually amazing how intertwined our hearts are with our kids, isn't it, as a mum?
Yeah.
And that you do feel everything with them.
I'll tell you what, the time that I found it difficult as a mother of a son, there comes a point when in public toilets you can't take your son with you. They have to go off to the toilet on their own in a public space, in a mall or whatever. Yeah. That I found really hard.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you have to trust that they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That bit was difficult. I always made sure I stood right outside the bathrooms and was just... I kept my eyes on it all the time. But
I remember doing that. I remember actually calling in, are you okay?
Yeah.
Mum, stop it.
Because your mind wanders, doesn't it? You think anything could be happening.
I know. And then I think I started using the ambulant toilet.
Yeah.
So that he had the whole room to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
yeah, and then they go to high school.
Yes.
So then that's a different thing altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And then I think when your first child goes to high school, you've heard all the bad things that happen in high school, and it's like you're sending your child off to war. Yeah, you know, if a kid comes up and does this,
what your high school was like.
Use that. But it's so much not as bad as what you're thinking in your head it's going to be.
You're thinking, I haven't taught them self-defense.
That's right. If you get bullied, and then they come home and you're like, how was your first day of school? And you've been stressing all day. And they're like, it was good.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you think is the hardest season in motherhood? Is it the one you've just had?
That was tough. Yeah, I think that was really tough. Because it involved my son, my daughter-in-law, who I feel like is my own daughter as well, and my grandson, so 3 precious people that I love so much. And taking them 7 hours away and leaving them there. And I know they'll be fine because they're adults, except for Max. But I just miss them. And I'm used to seeing them regularly. So it's adjusting to just they're that far away. But
I think the challenge for in motherhood as we progress is that sense of control, isn't it? Like we have control of their lives, what they're doing, where they go to school, what they wear, what they eat, all those things when they're young. But as they grow, that becomes less and less, and it's letting those reins go so that they're...
And I just want to snuggle that little baby.
Yeah.
So I miss my snuggles. But anyway, bring on more grandchildren, that's what I say.
Okay, what are some of the lessons you think you've learnt as mum? Like, if we've got younger mums here that are listening in, as mums of kids that are now adults and they've, grown up, they're living their lives, what advice could we give to younger mums?
I would say always be present, and conversations are really important. Always be in a space where you can listen to them and hear their heart, get to know their heart. I found car trips were great for that.
Yeah.
We would always get the most out of what's going on in their minds on the school trips or a car trip somewhere, and just training myself to listen, and if they ask questions, to give them what my answers were, and then we converse over that. The other thing was when they're little, when you start seeing those giftings come out, like things that they're interested in, pay attention to that, because if that develops from a young age, then that's most likely what they're naturally good at, and follow that line along.
Such good advice.
Yeah.
I'd say that, because actually finding your kids' gifts and talents and investing into that, however that looks,
Yeah.
it just adds value to them.
Yeah.
And I think it does so much for their confidence.
That's
and
right.
yeah, and it could be any obscure thing, but just back it,
Yeah.
get behind it and encourage it, and they will flourish.
Yeah.
I think as a result of that, I've seen that with Dara's life
Yeah,
as well.
that's
You've seen that
right.
with your kids.
And I think I guess the main phrase there is pay attention, because it goes so fast, and also pay attention to those little people and who they're going to become. I remember when my kids were little, I just had this picture in my mind of what they were going to look like at age 16 or as an adult. And it's like, we're actually not just raising children, we're raising children to become adults. And so if you look at your child when they're little and see them as they will be,
Yeah.
then it's a more purposeful parenting journey, because you're not just keeping them well for that day, you're actually shaping them for the future them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you start that trajectory from early on, then it's all purposeful along the way, even on those mundane days where you're just changing nappies, wiping noses, just...
Yeah, I love that. And then you're also speaking into their future.
That's it.
And you're speaking that over them, and they then take that on board, don't they? And they
Yeah.
begin to live that out. So
I wrote an article once about it's about children and how it's planting into children.
Yeah.
I forgot what I called it. It's in one of my books, and it's basically like, see your child as a seed that you're watering every day, and put all the good things into it, because the more good things you put into that child, the more they will flourish and grow and be green and beautiful and flower. So
Yeah.
it's just put good things into your kids right from dot.
I'd say you've done that. Your kids are great.
Aw.
Like all four of your kids, they're just, they're all flourishing, and they're just really good people.
Aw.
And they've got, great values and integrity. And
Well, the other thing I had to do was get over my fears. So I used to worry a lot when I first had kids, and I was scared of the worst things that could happen to them, which I think a lot of parents out there can relate to. But I got to a point where I realised, so you all know that I have a strong faith. I had to realise that God, who created them, loved my kids more than I love them. And so when I wasn't there to look after them, I knew he was. And that actually gave me great freedom and release, that I guess it stopped me being clingy, but just let me know that if I'm doing the best I can do, then there's someone greater who's also looking after them as well.
a great
So
point.
that gave me freedom.
I think mine would be, as a parent, we think we have to do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And we can be a little bit hard on ourselves if, something hasn't worked out how we'd planned or how we wanted. And just to go easy on yourself,
Yeah.
because you're never going to get it all right. And actually showing by example to your kids what it is to fail and to pick yourself up from that
Yes.
is a far more valuable lesson than getting everything right all the time.
I completely agree.
And I think, owning your stuff as well, like not being afraid to apologise to your kids.
Yeah.
If you get something wrong, own it. And I've been always really strong on that, is making sure that I demonstrate to my son what it is to acknowledge your mistakes and put that right, and showing that pathway and that journey out of that.
Yeah.
Because so much more is caught than taught.
Yeah, that's right.
And so who we are and how we live our life, and do the relationships around us, our kids are catching on to that.
That's right.
We all have those moments, don't we, when we see ourselves coming back at us from our kids, and we're
Yeah.
thinking, oh no, they're doing exactly what I do. But
Yeah.
the same is true when they demonstrate a good value or something good that you've imparted into them because you've shown them by example.
That's right. And also when you go through difficult things and you have to nut your way through that, they're watching the process.
Yeah.
So it's like you want them to come into that space and see how do you work through a problem and get to the other side.
Yeah.
Because that then helps them know, oh, well, mum did this to get through that problem and then she got to this. So that is a pre-learnt behaviour for them then, or the way that they're going to think about it. And I love it, like when you say things like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And then your little kid comes up and taps you on the shoulder and goes, it's okay, mum. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they're learning. Mum's not perfect, but they're also learning how to, it's all right, mum. Like,
Yeah.
that's okay.
We've also made sure that we've involved Dara in some, like if we're trying to find a solution to a problem,
Yeah.
we incorporate him in that conversation.
Yeah.
Because try and help him to problem solve for himself. So, okay, we have this issue. What would you do about it, Dara? Or what do you
Yeah.
see around? It could be a relationship problem, or it could be, you know, I don't know, something that you're trying to achieve and there's obstacles in the way or something like that. So how do we get around that? And we've involved him in those conversations because we're showing we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
We're just trying to work life out for ourselves.
And the input's so valuable and
Yeah.
fresh as well. Like sometimes they've got perspectives that we need. So,
Absolutely. He has blown me away sometimes when, you know, say I've had a relationship issue or a friendship that I'm thinking, oh, it's gone a bit challenged.
Yeah.
You know, and kids are in the back of the car all the time. They're observing your friendships. They're listening to you on the phone. They might be quiet. They might be on their phones. You're thinking they're not taking notice. They're taking everything in.
They are, yeah.
And so there's been times where, you know, maybe a friendship's been a bit challenged and I've gone to Dara and goes, Dara, what do you think? What have I done wrong? And what he's revealed at those times, I'm like, wow, it's blown me away. And he's always been right. And it's something about me that I've done or that he's observed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so incorporate your kids in those conversations because it will
Absolutely.
teach them how to troubleshoot for their own lives and overcome things.
Absolutely. I had something recently that came up and I was talking with Tony and Ben goes, you know what, Mum, just let that one go and take it as a life learning experience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh
Wow.
my goodness. Who are you, wise old man in a young man's body?
Yeah.
I'm like, Ben, that's such good advice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, our kids can teach us a lot. And when they become adults, it's a different relationship. You can talk like that with them.
Yeah.
Get their input a bit more.
And sometimes we're a little bit slow on catching on how grown up they are.
I know.
And how mature they are.
So precious. Yeah.
We're always the last to catch on, aren't we?
That's right. Because in my eyes, they're still 9, 7, 4 and 2.
Exactly.
I've got to change that.
But there is no greater joy than being a mother. I think it's the thing for me that has brought the greatest enjoyment, fulfillment and pleasure in my life. I'm getting quite emotional now.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and there are many other things that have as well, but being a mother is very much kind of my highest priority.
I think I'm definitely a better person for the years I've had my kids, and they have grown, even though we have grown them, they have grown me.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say so.
Yeah.
So for all you mums out there, want to wish you a very happy Mother's Day. You're doing an amazing job. Keep going, keep loving on your kids, and keep growing them into incredible adults. So that's it for today's podcast. You'll find us on all the major podcast platforms. The podcasts come out every Wednesday. We'd love to hear from you on our socials, the Gold Diggers Podcast. Tell us about your story so we can find the gold in you.
Easy as pie, lemon, apple or cherry. Loving you is so very sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be such a piece of cake? And your smile is the icing. Loving you is a party. Honey, you're my sugar.